What's up, people? Act 2 the podcast, episode 77. We are back. International Walt in the building.
It's your girl Tosh, the co-hostess with the mostest.
We are back. Act 2 the podcast, episode 77. We just chugging along. 77. 77.
Does he commend my Spanish?
No.
He doesn't like my Spanish?
Well, he says it's Spanish like he learned in school. I don't commend your Spanish, and I talk a lot of shit about it.
Well, what about the numbers? I mean, that's all we're saying is the numbers. Is there like a slang way to say the numbers?
Yeah, they're not so technical.
Like it's like saying 77.
You don't have an accent, so that's probably why you don't have no flair to it.
But I feel like even in English, there's only one way to say. Well, okay, 77. I guess if you say it like slang, like it's like 77. No,
so
I don't talk like that.
77?
I don't talk like that in English, so I ain't gonna talk like that in Spanish. 77. Like this is Telemundo, Sábado Gigante. They speak
Sábado Gigante.
Sábado Gigante. They speak proper. Telemundo.
I think it's Brigante.
Gigante.
Gigante?
Yeah,
like
giant.
Brigante.
No, yeah, or like Univision.
What the fuck?
All right, this is not the Spanish channel,
not.
but I like the way they speak. And why are all the ladies on the Spanish channel like?
I don't know, but you want to translate Spanish? You guys can catch us out there at act2thepodcast.com.
act2thepodcast.com.
You can catch us at Facebook.
Facebook.
You can catch us at Instagram.
Instagram.
You can catch us at YouTube.
YouTubio.
You can catch us at Google Podcasts.
Google El Podcast.
Anchor.
Anchor.
You can catch us at Radio Public.
Radio Public.
You can catch us at TikTok.
TikTok.
You can catch us at Breaker.
Breaker.
You can catch us at Spotify.
Spotify.
And on Twitter.
Tweet. I don't think names translate though, like do. Names of companies.
That's a clip right there.
But
what was that?
But Google is Google, and no matter what language. But when you do say, I will say the website is www.act2thepodcast.com or www.act2thepodcast.com.
Okay. What she said. That was, if she getting her thing in. I appreciate it. It sounded like it said something. I don't know for sure, but it sounded like it said something. How are you?
I'm doing good. I feel good. It feels good to laugh. I'm a little tired, but don't get me wrong. I do not miss commuting to work every day.
Mm-hmm.
However, lately I have been running errands. I got a little side hustle on Poshmark, not giving out no free advertisement, but connect with me if you're interested. But
that's the plug on this show. This is something else here.
It's my plug. I can't plug me?
Yeah, you can plug you.
Okay.
Shameless plug.
I make, I've been making like post office runs and stuff like that here and there. Today was one of them days I had to do a lot of running around. I logged off of work early, so I say all that to say, not being used to like really going outside a lot during the day, it was exhausting. And now it just takes me back to yesterday when I was like a normal commuting employee having to go to work every day. That's a lot.
It seems like you don't mind driving. Like you don't think driving sucks.
No,
You're not there in life yet where...
No, I absolutely...
Because you always ride with me.
Right, so I absolutely think driving sucks, and I only do it as needed. I don't complain about it as much because I don't have to drive a lot. But like today, I reached my limit.
Right.
That was enough running around for me to do. I mean, yeah, so I drive as needed. I don't just like... oh my goodness.
What?
I get pissed at myself because I forgot I wanted to get a watering can, and I had forgot 3 times. The last 3 times I went out, that was my intent.
I ain't got no goddamn watering can. I got a hose out here.
I want to buy a watering can. It's just more ladylike than to be pulling out the hose.
What you mean pulling out the hose? I got a nice rack for it. It comes off the rack nice.
But your
you got a watering can, you might need 2 cans per pot. You can have 6 times.
Well, I can fill it up at the hose bid instead of coming in and out the house. But that way I don't got to unravel the hose, then wrap it back up. Hands get dirty.
Then you wash them. I thought that was convenient. You're outside. You're pulling the hose. It's not, it's going to be dirty.
I feel great today though. Just running some errands, feel a little tired, but feels good to last. So mentally I'm an 8. I feel good. We're in a better space than we have been for the last few days. We've been utilizing our tools and communicating, knowing that there's still always work to do, but I'm happy that we're always willing to put forth the work. That's mental.
Finances was next.
Finances are a 10.
Okay.
I'm always
Now
going to
we
say
always
finances
on
is a
that.
10.
Now work.
Work is a 7, and not just because of work. It's because of people. Let me ask you this. When somebody is new to a role, right?
Mm-hmm.
In our corporate America, we call it a 30, 60, 90. You kind of give them 30 days to really learn the job, 60 days to kind of implement what they know, and then 30 more days, which would be 60. And then 30 more days to see, what the impact is. So that 90-day period.
See if they learn, see if they got effort. If they
Right.
want to do what they want to do.
Right.
Or if they want to do what they're asked to be doing.
Putting forth any knowledge that they've gained. So in your world, what's like the time frame that you give for somebody to adjust to a new role? Is it the same?
Wow. You're asking the wrong person this.
Would you give them 24 a day?
I've sent people home in 6 hours.
Oh my God, that's so unfair.
How is it unfair?
Some people learn differently.
I'm a master at my craft, and I can tell by the way a person takes his tools out whether they can work next to me.
Okay,
And
so
that's just I'm saying 5-10 years ago, I'm literally a different person. So I've sent people home in 6 hours. Now I'm a little bit more reserved, and I'm a little bit more reserved, patient, and understanding. So, and I do know that people learn different. So I may give, in my world, my field, it's pressure. I'm on $7 million projects, $5 million projects, $3 million projects. So the deadlines is pressure. So a week, 2.
Okay, that's fair because it's project based. Yeah, so in our world, I would say a 30, 60, 90-day plan to really show if you're a great fit. But like I think a full 6 months is sufficient for at that 6-point mark. You should be proficient in your job. Not saying you may not still have some things to learn, because we're always learning. So that's not, but so I'm just dealing with a situation where that's just not the case. And that's frustrating when you work with people who have different leadership styles, just different managing skills, different organizational skills. So that's why I say it's a 7, not just because of the job, but sometimes the people get to me. And
with leadership skills, the seniority holds the rank. And not saying seniority can't learn new tricks, because you can. But what works, and seniority always prevails over that. So somebody can come in with something new, a new way to manage, a new way to do a system, but what works, and your new way might not work. It's just new. But, and I'm not saying like we can't implement it if it don't work.
Well, when I say leadership,
proof of concept.
When I say leadership, so you have some people who are leaders in the sense that they are delegators. So they don't really do work. They just delegate, and then you report back, and they gather the details so that they can report up, but they don't really do the work.
So those are the people with manager in front or behind their name, because they manage the people. They delegate.
I'm talking about that same position in different leadership styles within that position. You have some people who are in that same position, you're right, with manager in front of their names because they're leading people, but they do the work along with their people. So this is what needs to be done. This is the part I'm gonna play. I'm gonna delegate as needed. Now, I'm not saying I'm gonna be passive and do other people's job, but we're gonna work collaboratively, or at least I'm gonna have an understanding of the job and not just delegate without knowledge.
Right.
Because I can delegate you to do something, and if I never take the time to learn it myself, I don't know if you're doing it right or not. All right, and then you have people whose leadership styles, they don't know how to delegate. They want to do everything. They become overwhelmed, and it kind of doesn't get done right. So, I mean, again, there's different leadership styles, and sometimes I'm not saying one is right or wrong. I have my preferred leadership style. I am a worker. Like, I want to know the job, and then I'll delegate as necessary, because, you know, as a leader, which thank God I don't have any direct reports now, I want to know what my team has to do so I can speak to it. You know, if they're giving me some feedback about a process that's difficult or too time consuming, if I don't understand, how can I respond? How can I make adjustments?
You like that too, don't you? Like not having people under you.
I love not being,
because you're not. That's not your strong suit.
No,
like you're not. You're a leader in the sense of once you know it, you can teach other people. But leading isn't your strong suit. Where if you're given 5 bums, you can make it to the finish line. Like,
because I become frustrated with people.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. That's not your strong suit. Is to rally the troops or to know I got to lead this person with anger. I got to lead this person with encouragement. I got to lead this person with this. Like, you get frustrated with that.
But I'm like you in the sense that I can pick up on, you know what? This person doesn't really know much, but she wants to learn, so I can work with her. This person, she's just lazy. She just wants to complain about everything. So I don't do well, and I will admit, I have a hard time compartmentalizing like, if somebody annoys me, even if I'm their supervisor, I have to like,
I won't be their supervisor.
And it's great being in a virtual environment, because I know my face used to show it all. Like, oh, what does she want now? Or like they would, and I actually got some feedback before where like people could see like, oh, well, she's one way towards these people, but when she communicates with me, not that I was ever nasty or rude, but it was just business. Yes. But so I don't do well with people who I don't like, because I don't want to be around them. But if it's my job, I'm going to do my job, but it's just strictly going to do my job, and we're going to cut out the laughs. So I do like not having people. And then, I'm sorry, this is the last thing I'm going to say. When you're responsible for people, I felt like it took away from my professional growth, because you're not just managing a job anymore. You're really managing people. So they want to, personal issues and HR issues and FMLA and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, I don't want to be bothered with that. I don't want to be bothered with evaluations. I just want to be able to do my job and lead from a standpoint of projects and so forth, but not lead people.
That went long.
Yes. And then physically, I feel great. I'm tired, but I feel great.
Damn.
How are you?
Damn.
But that was great conversation.
It was. I'm not saying nothing was wrong with it. I just said work went long. It don't usually go that long. Mentally,
I forgot we were on still working.
Yeah. Mentally, probably 8. What was I, 7s across the board yesterday?
Yeah. We do ask ourselves outside of, the show how we're doing, because we want to be, aware of what our what our emotions are all the time. It's not just for show.
Yeah, so mentally I am at 8 today. Finances, I'm gonna be a 9. I'm always gonna be a 9. Never gonna
You don't want to be a 10?
Nah.
Okay.
Be a 10, that's nah.
Okay. Leave room for growth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Work, I am 8. I feel like you at work. I have a person I'm dealing with who's kind of new to his role, and I get annoyed with people who question me. I get annoyed with people who question me, especially. No, I'm not. I'm gonna rephrase that. I get annoyed with people who question me about my job.
No, are they questioning you to learn, or questioning questioning your decision making?
No, not my decision making. Questioning me to learn, but in a annoying way. Like, I don't like to be asked questions, the same question 5 and 6 times. And people in office in your world have a lot of meetings, and they talk about the same shit, and that stuff drives me crazy. And that's why I'm a field guy, and I can do a little bit of both. But office, the questions, and it's almost like I could talk to 6 different office people, right, all on the same project. And they have more meetings than I have. But all of them ask me the same question, which leads me to think, why the fuck don't y'all talk? Like, it's 6
Too many hands in the pot?
Yeah, 6 of y'all. Why each one of y'all call me and ask me the same question? Don't y'all send emails to each other? I don't know. It just drives me crazy when people question me.
We should just quit our jobs and travel the world.
Well, we'll run out of money.
We'll find a way.
I'm not gonna wash dishes in Oklahoma.
He says that because we had a neighbor who did that. Like, went on the road and just decided to travel. I don't know, like, what job he quit, but he went on the road without a job. And when he would land places and needed to make some money, he would just, pick up an odd job here and there.
Washing dishes at some diner.
Yeah, we could be like tour guides in different cities and stuff.
Wows and woes.
My wow, I would say, so one of our nephews turned the big 1-8 this week. And just a blessing, there's been so much that has happened, just throughout his lifetime. It's a shame to say that 18 is so young and still a baby, even though he's not a baby. But it's a shame to say, like, that really is a level of achievement for young black men to make. I know how you felt when you made 18. So I'm just real, and I mean, he not in the streets and in no dumb stuff, but we know that doesn't even matter nowadays because things are still happening. So
when I was in the streets and I turned 18, I remember being 16 and thinking about it, and then I turned 18, made me super paranoid because
you thought like that was it.
Yeah, I thought like you're not gonna make it to 25 because that was the ages 16, 18, and 25.
Not even 21.
It was 25.
Wow.
Like most black men.
25 was like
25.
Wow.
Yeah, you were dead or either locked up in jail with a lot of time. So it was like, damn, 18. Like I was like, fuck, like 7 more years. Like this is crazy out here dodging this stuff.
Yeah, so that was, I'm just grateful, God has blessed them. I'm one of those people who, even though 18 is a big deal, I feel like you should celebrate every birthday as if it's the big one. Because you never know if you'll make it to the next one.
Women, you don't have to worry about that, making it to 18.
I mean,
nowadays, like now, more women are dying now. Yeah. Like, y'all not safe now. But when I grew up, it wasn't a thing where women had to be like, damn, I want to make it to 18.
No, but you know what is a thing?
Even if they was in the street.
But you know what is a thing? And I mean, it's a shame because this can also happen with men, of course, because it takes a man. As a woman, what is applauded is making it to 18 without having a baby.
That's true.
That's something that's applauded with women, But yeah, so that was my wow. My woe this week, we hit a little rough patch, but again, on the bright side, I'm happy that our love surpasses everything, and our love for not just each other, but for God and relying on God in prayer. And but that was the woe, just us not being our 100% self, but. That was that. My wow is just making it through another week. God, His blessings, and just breathing the air for another week. That's my wow. My woe is tied to what you just said, and I respect what you just said, and I love you more than anything on this planet. But I just want to say, love. I had this in my story a week ago. Love is the absolute minimum. Just make sure your spouses support you, prioritize you, and respect you. Yeah, I've heard that.
That's. I'm just going to leave that at that. And I hope that, beyond me loving you the way that I do, that I hope that I do those things also.
And I hope that it's reciprocated.
Conversation going around. Obviously, news all over the place. Roe versus Wade, overturned. January 23rd, 1973, by the Supreme Court this law was put in place. Feud and ongoing abortion debate in the U.S. on whether or not and what extent abortion should be legal. Who should decide the legality of said abortion, and what role religion and religious views are taken into consideration. It was argued December 13th, 1971. It was re-argued October 11th, 1972. It was decided January 22nd, 1973. It's still a crime in Texas to have an abortion.
Well, you said January 22nd, 1973. Okay.
It was decided, and we know just a few days ago it was overturned. Should women be able to have an abortion? Before we answer that question,
yes,
I just want to say that you can go ahead. You can give your take.
So, of course, we've slightly touched on this topic before, and I will say that my stance is what it has always been. I do not believe in abortions. However, and this is not me wavering in any way, shape, or form.
So what's your stance, pro-life or pro-choice? Or are you on the fence?
I am pro-life.
Okay.
I am not pro-choice. But there is a caveat. I'm going to say I am pro-life with an asterisk.
Okay.
I am pro-life and do not believe that abortion should be used as a means of birth control.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, in medical scenarios, when there's situations that it could put the mom's life in danger, the baby's life may be deemed not viable. I do feel strongly that I still lean more towards pro-life in those scenarios. However, no one can ever say what they would or wouldn't do in that situation. So I'm not saying as a woman, if they tell you if you proceed with this pregnancy, the likelihood of you as a woman surviving, is decreased because of whatever reason, then you should just go ahead. In my mind, I feel like I still don't think I would have an abortion in that situation.
You would put your life at risk.
I know as my husband, you would feel much differently. However, I just feel like I just don't know that in my right consciousness and awareness and my faith in God that I would be able to make the decision to say, okay, if it's nothing wrong with the baby, but for whatever reason it's hurting me in some kind of way, I don't know. Oh my God, it's making me emotional, but I don't know if I could make that decision to kill the baby.
You'll be on the table and I would make the decision. So let me tell you, if me and you if we got pregnant and it was a situation between the baby and you, the baby goes, babe, because I need you here and we can make another baby. Or we can try, or God will bless us with another baby, but I'm not going to be blessed with another Tasha.
I hear what you're saying.
I'm not going to get that back. So that decision will be made out of your hands because you'll be doped up on the table and I'll be saying, save my wife. That's just what I'll be saying. And then we'll fix the rest later. You can cry about it. I'll be there for you to support you, but I need to see your face every day. And that will be the decision I make.
And that in that situation, if I'm incapable of making a decision, and I know that's the decision you would make, if I am capable of making a decision, I know it would cause a huge issue between us because I don't think I would be able to. Now, if there's a situation where, and I don't want to allude to anybody as to who it is to put people's personal business, but we've had a loved one who was pregnant with twins, and one baby, whatever the situation was, was consuming the other in some way or another. So they had to make a decision to terminate the life of one child, or else both may have terminated or have been, developmentally challenged in some way. So and I understand that's a very tough decision. Do I terminate one baby and still have one healthy baby? Do I not terminate either and both of them may not make it, or both are born with being developmentally disabled? Then you think to yourself, am I making that decision because of selfishness, because I don't want to have to deal with developmentally disabled children, or I don't want to subject them to that life? And then you think, what if the doctors are wrong? I know of someone, and at this point, this child is a grown-up now. I would say probably 21 or so, 20, maybe 20, no more than 25. But it was a couple, and I don't know them personally, but I knew a family member who told me this story years ago. There was a couple, the woman got pregnant, and the doctors had suggested to her that she terminate the baby, had told her that the baby would have Down syndrome. Provided the option to terminate the baby. She absolutely did not want to. Her and her husband did not agree, and they got a divorce. Well, this baby was born. There was never anything wrong with him. So I don't know how the doctors got that so wrong. But again, this is 20 plus years ago.
Yeah, that can happen. I mean, it's not like they hit on everyone, but there is a gene that specifically says your kid will have that.
Yeah.
I don't I do think women should have the right to have an abortion because of incest. Like I believe in, if a woman is raped, if a dad rapes a daughter and gets her pregnant at 11, I don't think that kid should be forced to have that baby. So in that sense, I'm for abortion. So I'm in the middle on the fence, but I'm also agreeing with you where I don't think abortion should be a birth control method. I don't think women should be out here reckless doing shit, become 30 years old and had 6 abortions because they was reckless and doing shit, and this is the way that they avoided having kids even when they got pregnant. So in that sense, I don't think that a woman should be able to have an abortion if she's using it as a plan B pill.
And let me just say this, because you made a very interesting point, and I will say this. I've had some spirited conversations over, since this, because of my stance, and I haven't posted much about it. I just suggested that people use condoms and birth control with the complete understanding that they are not 100% guaranteed. But again, I will say there've been some people that disagreed. I've had some conversations. I appreciate that the people that I know, whether friends or just acquaintances, it has been
cordial conversation.
Cordial in some sense, a little heated in some sense, but never disrespectful. So I appreciate that. But one of the things that somebody mentioned was not everybody is being reckless, like you said. Someone said to me, like, they were with their child's father, I guess it was their boyfriend at the time. They were on birth control. Their birth control failed. They were not prepared. They didn't want to have a child at that time. They ended up still having a child who I think is like 10 now. But at that time, she wasn't prepared to have another child. She didn't want another child. So in that case, I would say, no, she wasn't being reckless. She thought she was doing what she thought was the appropriate thing to do. And or you can have a situation where, it only takes one time to get pregnant. So somebody could truly not be being reckless in a sense, or not be being right. And I just wanted to make sure that my position was understood too. Not that I feel like I have to justify, but I just want to say that.
Did.
Right. But I guess what? I'm justifying because I just don't want to be understood. So I say that to say that's still birth control. And I think that's what some people forget. Like, just because you haven't had 6, 7 abortions, even if you just had one because of one mistake, it's still birth control. Like, so it's still the point of you deciding that this baby that you become pregnant with through the means that you can get pregnant, which we learned at 10, if not earlier, you got pregnant. And also, when you think about condoms, birth control, one of the things they teach you from the time you learn about sex education, they're not 100% guaranteed. So as an adult, you go into this with the mindset of knowing
that doesn't change a person's situation just because they have the information of having sex raw will get you pregnant. How many people, like, that's almost like a myth.
What?
That you're taught having sex unprotected, you can get pregnant.
No, what I'm saying is using birth control, and even if you do that, you're taught those things aren't 100% guaranteed. So you're still
100%.
taking a risk. Now, you may say I wasn't prepared, or I thought I was doing the right thing. If you decide to have an abortion as a result of that, it's birth control. And I don't feel like anybody should be able to make that choice.
We all tell people to be honest about who they are and what their situation is and like what they can do. And if somebody gets pregnant, say mistakenly, they're not being reckless, one of those people, and they don't want to have their body carry a baby, and they want to, have an abortion because the doctor said that this baby could have Down syndrome or disfigured or whatever the case may be. And they know that in their life, they're not the type of person that will want to take care of a special needs child. So why bring that special needs child into the world? Or, they're just not ready or financially able or mentally stable. So what's wrong with getting an abortion at that point? And if you go to why don't you adopt, some people don't want their body to carry a baby because of the hormones and all that shit that comes with it. Then you get the whole maternal thing going on, and now you got to have this baby and put it up for adoption. So what's to say about those people?
You're trying to use abortion as birth control, and I don't think that should be allowed. I feel like
that's a technical thing, but I'm saying in that scenario, technically you're right. It's a
Right.
form of birth control. So you don't think it's scenario based at all. You don't think incest you should have an abortion.
Well-
you don't think rape should have an abortion. Like if you was 12 years, God forbid, if you was if we knew somebody that was 12 years old that was close to us who was raped and was pregnant, you don't think she should have the option
So
like of having an abortion if she was raped by her father or something?
I did say an asterisk, and that is another scenario that I do want to mention. This is the problem though, like when we have these loopholes with laws, and it's like that one bad apple spoils the bunch.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not gonna give too many details, even though this was a job years ago, like not my current employer. But I worked at a place before where I saw medical records, and there were instances, because for those who may or may not know, prior to this overturning of the law, Medicaid health benefits in Pennsylvania would cover for abortions if it was a case of rape or incest. So elective abortions, let me just say that, not like a situation of medical emergency or something. Will cover elective abortions in the case of rape or incest. Do you know how many women
Lied and said they was raped?
Lied and said one of the rules was that, of course, that they would have to provide evidence of a police report. But we know, and outside of abortions, I 100% know that not all women report. Understood completely. So in that case, from a medical standpoint, there was a certain modifier code, or just a way they would bill for these services, to say this person say they were raped or incest, it was rape or incest, but here's this billing code to indicate that there was no police report. Do you know how many medical records would say, somebody was raped, they didn't report it because it was a neighbor or was their boyfriend? I saw somebody within 3 years had 8 abortions, the same thing they kept saying. So you mean to tell me you kept getting raped, you kept getting pregnant, and you never filed a police report?
See, that's easy to fix in my mind, because it's like, okay, let's change the qualification, I don't want to say the qualification like you got to qualify for an abortion, but the requirement. Now you have to show a rape kit. So because you can doctor a police report and just say I got raped.
But a rape kit is the same as reporting. Some women don't.
You have to go that far in order if you want this service, is what I'm saying. So if you want an elective abortion because you got raped, then you have to do a police report and rape kit.
Well, let's think about this though.
Then you can come here and get your abortion.
Let's think about this in the scenario that you mentioned. God forbid, it's a 11-year-old girl who's being raped by a parent, a father. And she doesn't tell anybody. Now all of a sudden her mom noticed that after 3 months she ain't seen no pads in the trash can. She 12 weeks pregnant. Where's a rape kit coming in at? So that's why I'm saying this is why when you add loopholes, people jump through them to break the law. And I'm not saying that a little girl, God forbid, or a grown woman, you can be 60 years old and get raped and pregnant. I believe, but it's just one of those things where I'm torn spiritually. And I will say this too. It's weird because in laws, we know in government you're supposed to separate church and state. I truly, truly, truly believe that this law has been overturned. I have my own conspiracy theories, and we can talk about that. But I do feel like there is some religious reasons, morality being inputted into that as well. So they're not separating church and state. People are allowing their religious beliefs to guide their decisions. So,
well, I agree with that, and I think it's two things, and we can talk about the conspiracy theorists. But can I have some water, please? Mm-hmm. I believe it's obvious religious beliefs, because the Supreme Court, the 6 people that's up there, 4 of them are Catholic who don't believe in abortion. One is the black judge that just came. She's Protestant, and one is of Jewish faith. So they're the ones, and I believe they're imposing their beliefs on the whole situation. But I also, in my conspiracy theories, there's a white woman who spoke with Trump who said, thanks for the white life. Yeah. And that shit rung a bell across a whole lot of platforms, and I believe it's population control. The Census Bureau says in 2045, if the world keeps going like it is, that black and brown people will be the majority in the world, and whites will be the minority. So therefore, all say so in elections and how things swing will swing with the majority, and which is not
black and brown
is black and brown people. And but I believe it's population control. In Alabama, this is all the white people that have abortions in all these red states. These are all red states. Alabama, 30% of white women have abortions.
Well, okay, so in comparison to how many black women though?
There's only black is only listed in some states. I'm going to get there.
Okay.
So in Alabama, it wasn't listed. Just
I'm
30%.
I'm sorry. So are you saying 30% of abortions are white women?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Arkansas, 44%. Delaware, 43%. Florida, 31%. Idaho, 68%. 3% were black. Indiana, 52%. 32% were black. Kentucky, 56%. 34% were black. Montana, 83%. No blacks listed. South Dakota, 63%. Utah, 60%. 59% for the blacks. West Virginia, 83%. 13% for blacks. Wyoming, 61%, nothing listed for blacks. So I just think that it's a population thing. Like, they don't want, and they're talking about now getting rid of contraceptives.
Right. So
across the board. So they want the world to populate with white people.
So one thing, just to go back to your statistics. So one thing that I read, and this is on a national level, not broken down by state, because one of the things about those stats, not saying that they're incorrect at all, but they are indicative of the population of the states. Like when you think about Montana, of course,
that's 89%, 83%.
Because how many black people are in Montana?
Plus, you got to put into account the non-reported. This is all the stuff that's reported.
Right, but what I will say, to your point, you are correct that there has been, I don't want to get it incorrect, but I think a 6% decrease in the white population over the last 20 years, I think it was. If y'all, I may be wrong, but there has been a decrease. So don't mark my numbers correct, but there has been a decrease. However, if you look at the people want to say, oh, they're trying to hurt the black population, nationally, 38% of abortions are from women of color. Well, from black women. 33% are from white women. So yeah, black women nationally slightly higher, but that's not that much of a difference when you're talking about nationally. So when we look at it, it's not a race thing in the sense of they're trying to do something to black people. If anything, they're trying to stop black babies from dying, but that really ain't their initiative. To your point, they're really trying to preserve white life. That lady told the truth. That's really what they're trying to do. So in that, they can't just say abortions are illegal for white women.
No.
But that's what they're trying to do.
The numbers are close like that because, damn, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
You'll think that.
Yeah, I lost my
But to your point, you're absolutely correct. She spoke the truth. This, like she said, this is a win for white life.
Oh, I'm sorry. The abortions in minority women have went down over the last 30 years. But what keeps the numbers even is black women have more unintended pregnancies than white women.
Okay.
That's what keeps the numbers even. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought, but that's the fact that I had. I researched that and looked that up. The for all minority women, Hispanic, black, they all went down over the last 3 decades. Abortions have went down, but the medium is that black women have more unintended pregnancies than anybody.
Right.
So I don't know, they just keep getting pregnant.
And this is a problem that I have with the narrative that some people try to push when they were saying, oh, this may result in more black children, not being cared for, or this may result in more children finding themselves.
Put a period at that. This will result in less black children. Period.
Well, no.
That's the end of the sentence.
No, because it's...
You said a white woman said...
No, I didn't say that.
Uh-huh.
I said this is the narrative that people, and I've seen this from black people say.
You were saying it came from white people.
No, for that this is them them trying, not them trying, but as a result of this, there will be more babies not being cared for, or women's lives will be put in danger because they will get illegal abortions and so forth. But my thing is, why can't we look at it differently and say, maybe some people will make better decisions, because if all your life you knew that if I get pregnant and I don't want it, I can just have an abortion. If I get pregnant and I don't want it again, I can have an abortion. If my birth control failed and it's like, oh my God, how did I get pregnant? I'm on birth control, but I ain't keeping this baby. Or I was cheating, I don't know who the dad is. Why can't it be the mindset that maybe now people will make more informed decisions, and they'll, I don't want to say be reckless, but they will just be more diligent in their efforts to say, I'm going to make sure that I don't get pregnant because I know I don't want a baby right now.
How are you supposed to have all these people with all the, like, how did, let's just say, let's go back to the invention of the wheel. Who said abortion was bad? Religion, right? Religion is the first people to say, ever since we were small, everybody was to say, this is bad because religion says so.
Well, because I think it's murder. That's why.
Regardless
right,
of
because
what
of religion,
think,
yeah.
But I'm saying, how was abortion brought onto us? Like murder was brought onto us. Abortion was brought onto us that this is a bad thing. And that bad thing was created from religion to say, to do this to a baby is bad.
Right.
Okay, so if the people on the Supreme Court can't impose their religious views on us, how is that not supposed to take place when you have religious views, I have religious views, they have religious views? Like, how are they supposed to be up there if they're Catholic their whole lives, believe in one thing like you do? How are they not supposed to go against?
It doesn't make sense. It's like being on a jury and you're not supposed to allow your personal beliefs to affect the decision that's made. Yeah, that sounds good in theory, but is it realistic? Like, we're human beings. We're emotional beings. You're not going to be able, I mean, I'm not saying that nobody will, but you're not going to be able to. Of course, there are judges who make decisions based on the law and they don't allow their morality to impact it. But
to what degree?
Point,
I don't think a Catholic would rule in favor of abortion if they don't believe in abortion, and they're stone cold Catholics.
Well, I was about to say,
I just don't think they would lean
clear.
one way if they're a judge or a Supreme Court justice. I think their beliefs is their beliefs.
I don't think it's just because they're Catholic or just because they're Jewish. I think it's those individuals, because we know there are still some Catholic people that have abortions. We know there are still some people that are in the pulpit every single Sunday, and they still think that women should have the right.
The good ones, the staunch ones. I'm talking about, like
those who are on the Supreme Court. Yeah,
like the ones who. I mean, I'm sure everybody has dirt that they did or not. On they, as Muslims would say, on they deen. But if I just don't understand how they can be up there and we expect them to not to go against something that they truly don't believe in. Just like we sitting here speaking our truth to say, this is what we believe in.
So let me ask this, right? And I'm going to ask y'all, the people. And I, respond, give us some feedback, some comments, let us know your thoughts. But this has been on my mind because I feel like people want to pick and choose, how they want laws to be applied. Everybody's like, oh, they shouldn't tell us what to do with our bodies. There's other laws that tell us what to do with our bodies. One, you think about this. You got to wear a seatbelt when you're driving. They're telling you what to do with your body. Protect your body when you're in the car. It's illegal. You can't drive without your seatbelt. Nobody says, don't tell me what to do with my body. I don't have to wear a seatbelt if I don't want. Two, they say the legal drinking limit is 0.08. You can't get drunker than 0.08 blood alcohol limit, or else it's illegal to drive. Nobody says, don't tell me what to do with my body. I can drink as much as I want.
There's a lot of people who say that shit who get DUIs.
But nobody's rallying and saying this shouldn't be the law.
They're not protesting, but
right, they're not protesting and saying you can't tell me how much to drink. I should be able to drink however much I want and drink. The law says You can't do heroin. If you're pulled over and the cops think that you're high on drugs, you're going to jail, because you know what? They're telling you what to do with your body. You're not allowed to put drugs in your body. It's against the law. So now, because it's something that we want to hang our hat on and say, oh no, I want to be able to kill the baby because I had a lapse in judgment and I really, don't want to have a baby by this guy, even though, I got 2 kids by him and he's still my boyfriend, but I don't want him to be my baby father again, but I don't want to leave him, but I'm going to have an abortion and still keep banging on Raw every night and then going to end up pregnant again anyway, but don't tell me that I can't kill this baby. Get out of here.
So how, if you had to make a stipulation, obviously you would be like no abortions, but if you had to, had to be compassionate to the people who were raped and had incest, how would you stipulate that? Would you say abortions are only legal for people who've been raped and had incest?
You know what? I think, okay, I know I have to answer the question. I thank God I'm not in a position to make that.
For the sake of conversation.
Yeah, but for the sake of conversation, I would say medical decisions should be made. There should be some direction from a medical doctor. Not saying you have to have an abortion, but the doctor should be should be the one who has to substantiate to that why that woman should have that option. Let's just say that. And y'all can want to fight me if you want. I don't think because a child is diagnosed with Down syndrome, you should have the option. You know how many people are out here living very, successful lives? Yes, they need some additional assistance, but that shouldn't be a reason. It should really be a reason that is going to be detrimental to that child's life or detrimental to the parent's life. And I'm not talking about financially detrimental, because like you said, some parents may say they're not financially prepared, they're not mentally prepared. How many people really are? I ain't had no babies.
No, but I mean, if you're not financially prepared, how can you take care of a kid that needs a van or a wheelchair, or you need your house ADA accessibility?
Medicaid pays for it.
Okay, I don't know this stuff.
Yeah,
so, I mean, you're the insurance lady. I don't know.
Right, and I'm talking about people. I'm talking about outside of the medical part of it. People will say, "Oh, I'm not ready to have a baby. It costs so much." Your coochie shouldn't be getting wet.
What do you say to the doctor who comes in the room with the couple, husband and wife, and says, "Ma'am, my expert opinion. I've been a doctor for 35 years. If you have this baby, you will die."
That woman should have the choice. That's why I'm saying.
I'm asking you.
If I have the baby, I will die.
Like, I've been over 17 tests. I've encountered this in my 35-year career. I'm standing here with you and your husband, Walt, and I'm looking you in your eyes, and I'm telling you, if you have this kid, you will die. And you're woke enough to be coherent to answer the question. I don't have to answer it for you.
God don't make no mistakes.
So you're going to leave me here with the baby? You lost your mind.
God don't make no mistakes.
You done lost your mind.
God don't make no mistakes. But going back to your original question, when it comes to rape or incest, again, I think that's a very careful line that has to be walked. I think that in that case, a woman should have the option. It shouldn't be, of course, it's not forced.
The option.
I think the woman should have the option. It even hurts my heart to say that because, my friend, I've never really had this conversation.
I've said this over the time. I've picked like the worst scenarios about abortion, the worst scenarios about like this guy came in and killed 7 of your family members, your sisters, everybody, took everybody out and just left you. Does he get the death penalty? And you like, I don't know. Like, you are insane. That motherfucker dies.
I just feel like God, I feel like God might, I will say this, and I really haven't had to have this conversation with any friends, but my sisters have known for years, and thank God, they've never been in that situation. I am not the friend, the sister who will ever suggest an abortion. You come to me with the saddest story. Oh, he did this, whatever. I don't really want. I ain't gonna be your ride to the clinic. I'm damn sure not helping you pay for it. I'm not. If you depend on me to be your ride, I guarantee you're gonna miss your appointment because I ain't taking you there. But I will say, and I have always been clear, with people that I love, if that's the decision that you make immediately after, I'll bring you soup, ginger ale, you need me to rub your back, you want to cry on my shoulder. So I will definitely support someone, who's had to go through that situation. I'm just never suggesting it. I'm never advocating. If you talk to me and want my advice, I ain't the one if you want me to lean that way, because that's just never going to be my suggestion, in that situation. So, I mean, it's one of them things, like, I understand, and I can be compassionate for someone who's had to make that decision, because one thing that people don't acknowledge or talk about, I see a lot of people, I don't want to say women, I see a lot of females talk very cavalierly about having abortions, like very cavalier. Like, it used to be taboo back in the day, but now people just like, oh, I'm headed to whatever 123 Apple Street.
I'm looking for an appointment.
Yeah, but I will say this: I know someone when we were younger who had an abortion, and she is one of only 2 people I know in my life who expressed and was honest. It messed her up mentally. And that child would probably be, I'm 40, how old am I? I'm 41. Mm-hmm. So that child will probably be like 22 or so now. And this is not something we've talked about like lately, but I know that it caused some, depression and stuff. And she used to always think, my baby would be this old if I didn't have an abortion. My baby would be this old. It messed her up mentally. It like haunted her.
But there's also a flip side to that coin, because I think it was somebody, I can't even remember who it was, but it was a famous person who just said, I had an abortion when I was 18 and I do not regret it. It messed up, and it's people who life went on and they knew at the time that I can't take care of no kid.
I understand that, but I just think that I think we hear more of that side of women saying, I did it, and it was what it was, I don't regret it, but we don't hear the other side. So I think I don't even want to say young girls, for women in general who may be contemplating their first abortion, and I think you have to do some counseling, but I think it's really like, it ain't nothing intensive. It might be like a 1 session just to talk to you. But I think women really need to think about, you are killing a life. You are terminating a life, and how this will impact you.
Okay, that's we know where you stand. So obviously this question, now that I'm thinking about it in my head, like, I would be the only one who could answer, because I think abortion should be.
So are you pro-choice or pro-life?
I'm both.
You can't be. Are you pro-choice? Or what do you mean you're both?
Because I think abortion should be around for incest and rape.
So the same scenarios I mentioned. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
What you mean that's both?
I thought
either you believe in abortions or don't.
Gotcha.
I believe in them and I don't.
Okay.
So I'm both.
Okay.
My question is, in the society we live in, when's a life a life? Because that's the next question, is what's the earliest an abortion can be? If there had to be abortions, is 2 weeks too late? Is 4 weeks too late? Is, the fucking extreme 4 months too late? Absolutely, I agree. I'm just saying what people...
I think a life is a life at conception. You can't tell me, oh, it's a fetus, oh, it's an embryo. We all were fetuses and embryos, but our life began at conception. So, and I, most people, I think, probably don't know they're pregnant. I'm gonna say like minimum 4 weeks, because you probably don't get your period
for 2 weeks.
I don't know if people know earlier than that. I don't know if you can know earlier.
Well, I think it's just y'all nature to that y'all are in tune with y'all body. So I think y'all be like, oh, I'm late, and that's like normal to y'all.
But
then y'all wait like a week, and then if it don't nothing happen, then you might start thinking, oh,
so that might be like pregnant. 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah, but I don't think initially, and I could be wrong, I'm not a woman, but initially, if you're late, I don't think they panic immediately like, oh my God, I'm pregnant.
Unless you have been regular all your life.
And if you know in your head you've been fucking like crazy, you might know.
Yeah.
This is why I'm late.
Yeah, so I don't know if you can know at 2 or 3 weeks, but let's say you found out as soon as you...
But the doctor said you
3 days pregnant.
No, the doctor said you 14 days pregnant, you 2 weeks pregnant. You think that's too early for an abortion?
Yeah, that's a life. That baby was you at one point.
I understand.
Yeah.
I totally get it. I don't think women should have an abortion just to be having abortions.
No, I was just talking
I think women should have an abortions if they're raped and they don't want the trauma of having to raise a child from rape. And if they're a loved one, a brother, an uncle, a father rapes them, they shouldn't be forced to have the baby. There shouldn't be nothing.
Well, I was about to say, I know we separate rape and incest, but it's still rape. Yeah. So in the cases of rape, regardless of who it is.
But it makes a difference, though. It makes a difference.
I mean,
because incest is incest. You're forcing somebody to might have a baby that might not even be mentally right.
I know. I'm just saying, incest is still rape.
Rape is rape.
Yeah, that's all I was saying.
Rape is rape, but I'm just saying, incest to me is
it's a worse thing, but like it's still rape. Worse. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So, what's the potential impact
of this law?
Roe being overturned. Like, what do you think next they're gonna go after? I don't want to say our contraceptives because we don't have none, but contraceptives. You think they're going to take condoms and birth control off the shelves? Vasectomies already went up.
Well, let me tell you this. Okay, we've already stated what my beliefs are. The fact that they overturned it though was a shock to me, and it was almost like one of those
it's the third time I heard about this in my life.
It was one of those confirmations where you like you know how on when they had that scenario on The View when the vice president that we never see was going and all of a sudden those women had COVID and you like, this damn government do whatever they want and just like in our face like, so this was one of those moments again like that, like we gonna do what the hell we want. So I will say while I don't think or believe that they would push to have contraceptives illegal like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
They could ban some shit like that from the U.S.
Yeah, but you know why I don't think that they would. Condoms. You know why I don't think that they would.
Why? Who would stand up and say the LGBT community?
No, why I don't think that they would is because the government makes far too much money from the pharmaceutical industry. And when you think about birth control...
Nah, I think they would forego that if we're talking white life. And I think they make more money off oxycodone than they do birth control. So I think they will push that aside in an effort for the long game. If this is going to preserve white life, then yeah, let's do. If this is the agenda that's going around, then okay, then this is what we do.
I don't think, again, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I don't think they would go that far, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I think I would be
birth
like...
Birth control is a drug, but it's an option drug. It's like these other drugs that they make millions and billions of dollars off of are addictive drugs.
Yeah.
Like birth control, some people pick it up, use it, put it down. Some people don't. They pick it up, use it, and never touch it again. But it's just millions of women on the planet who indulge in birth control here and there. Some women use it and be like, fuck this shit. It makes me feel like crap. I'm getting off of it. Some women be on it for 30 years.
I mean, again, I can't say. Now, I know I saw there was some conversation because a senator, which there was a senator from Texas, Conlon, I think was his name. He posted something on Twitter that said, now let's do Plessy versus the Board of Plessy versus Brown versus the Board of Education. So for those who may not know,
I don't know.
Plessy was a law that initially there was a ruling that said that institutions can be separated by race.
Oh yeah, they talk about segregation. I did hear about this.
So institutions can be separated by race and that they can still be equal and, basically, allowing segregation, saying we'll separate by race, they'll be equal. Brown versus the Board of Education overturned Plessy, saying absolutely not, because institutions being separated by race, primarily focusing on schools, have been proven not to be equal. So you absolutely cannot have segregated schools because no, Plessy is wrong. They're not equal. So Brown versus the Board of Education overturned Plessy. So him saying, let's go back to that and then trying to justify it was, I really, really thought about this for a while, trying to see because, you know, he tried to imply, and his supporters tried to imply, no, his words were mistaken, but nah, I don't see how that was mistaken. You want Plessy to be overturned, essentially saying, let's go back to institutions being separated by race with the mindset of thinking they'll be equal. But we know that's not true.
Yeah.
So that, and it almost makes you feel like, it's one of them things like when we talk about white tears and how I think white tears, that terminology focuses on white women more so, but it's like when they don't get their way, they just like I'm just
because
gonna cry.
An inconvenience to them is an attack on them.
So
any kind of inconvenience for them, they feel like they're being attacked.
Right, but it's like one of them things when they don't get their way, they like have a tantrum and have like a Karen moment. And it's one of them things where I feel like the government, the country is having a Karen moment where it's like, oh my God, these black people, it's just becoming more of them and they're so awesome and they're doing all these things that we never thought they can do. And, you know, they're moving into spaces that we never thought they would be able to be successful. And they're becoming, you know, better than we are. And it's like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? That's how I feel. That's how I feel like the white people are acting right now. And the government is like, oh, we got to stop. We got to do something to like not let them be better than us. But we're always going to be awesome.
That's a clip too. What the fuck? Before we move on to what we learned, the person out there who I saw on the gram say that they think that they should be able to claim an unborn child in their stomach because they taking care of it the whole 9 months on their taxes. Y'all foul as shit. And I don't even remember your name, but y'all foul as shit for saying that you should be able to do some shit like that. Like, life is a life and it's a baby in there kicking around, but it ain't been born yet. It ain't got no social security number. How the fuck you gonna claim something even though you taking care of it for 9 months? Like, get the fuck out of here with that. That's crazy.
That's funny though.
What have you learned?
I learned something really interesting. At least I thought. It's a little quirky, right? You might have known this. Did you know that there's a market for breast milk? Mm-hmm. Like people sell their breasts. So I didn't. So I knew that people donated breast milk. I first learned about this, that people donated, especially to...
It's titty milk on the black market.
Well, this is not just the black market though, but people donated to like orphanages in Africa where, you know, the mothers have HIV, so they can't breastfeed and so forth. Or orphanages, you know, the children have been taken from their homes. They want to feed them. And then also for babies in the NICU, like if the mom is not available or all women can't breastfeed. And then now with the breast milk shortage, I understand. But I did not know that people sold their breast milk. So I seen this solicitation, this lady, she was saying she's a vegan. She eats, you know, this alkaline diet. So she has like Premier breast milk. And she was selling it for $10 an ounce. And she's like, yes, it's more than what it typically goes for because of it being like top quality. So I had to do some research, like how many ounces do you make a day? Do you know how many ounces a woman can make a breast milk in 24 hours?
40
like
ounces.
If she's pumping like good.
40 ounces. 25
to 35 ounces a day. And you know what the average cost per ounce is? Like not this Premier breast milk, but
$4.
$3 to $5. You were right at the median. So yes.
I had a kid.
But you knew about breast milk?
Yeah, they breastfeed and all that stuff. Like, yeah.
So this has been around for a long time?
Yes.
I did. Well, that's what I learned. That it is a market. And you know what? Okay, so one of the things that I immediately thought in my mind was, who is buying breast milk from a stranger? Because you can and I looked this up, you can transmit HIV through breast milk. And it was CTV.
But it's going through some vigorous tests. You can't just...
Who's testing it? She's
selling it person to person?
Yes.
Oh, you might have to take an HIV test with you. They have HIV tests.
Who might have to take it?
The person who's buying the milk. So you can test the milk for HIV.
She's shipping it to you.
Well, you should test the milk before you give it to your baby.
You can test the milk for HIV?
Yeah, they have HIV tests.
I thought HIV test blood.
You can pass it through milk. You can test the milk.
Nevertheless, that was my concern about passing a disease through the milk from a stranger.
I don't have titties or milk, so I don't know what
and
you
I ain't
test.
never, pumped nothing. But I just thought it was like I did not know there was a market where people are selling their breast milk.
Yeah, they sell it.
So that's what I learned.
Wholesale and on the black market. What I learned is something that I kind of always knew, but just this past week it kind of hit home. Like, you shouldn't sex traffic. Don't sex traffic. That's not right. That's not good. You shouldn't do that. And that'll tie into the 3 grams. 1, 2, 3.
That you threw me. Okay.
R. Kelly sentenced to 30 years for sex trafficking.
Wow.
He got sentenced on Monday to 30 years.
How many years has he been like?
And he still has another case in January. But he was sentenced for the cases he was sitting for 30 years.
You know what I can say, and this is one of them things.
Robert Kelly.
Where it's like,
my mind's telling me no.
This is one of them things where I kind of write people off. Like, I forgot about R. Kelly until I see his name. And
really?
Yeah, like I forgot.
Well, because his music has been taken out of
circulation. Yeah, you don't hear it, so you don't, and I.
You know a song I heard that I actually listened to. I ain't gonna lie. What a Woman Loves. When he sang that, I was like, man, I gotta finish listening to this song.
When a Woman Loves.
When a Woman Loves. Yeah, he killed that song. Yeah. And that's no type of sexual innuendos.
It was just about woman loving
it was like,
man.
God damn, he sang the shit out this song.
But does it make you think in hindsight, like, was he singing this about some little 14-year-old that he thought like loved him so much?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I hope not, because that's not a woman and ill.
But in his nasty mind.
Graham 2, Ghislaine Maxwell sentenced to 20 years for sex trafficking.
So this
is why you shouldn't sex traffic.
But this is I thought, so for those who may not know who she is, she was the honeypot for
Jeffrey Epstein.
Right. And we see Jeffrey Epstein, what happened to him.
Yep.
And then his
CIA black op, they call them what they call them?
Agents.
No, the people that come get you.
The assets. Yeah. And then the guy who was like a lawyer for him, what happened to him?
Asset.
They got him. So I thought, but you know what I don't think she ever, like, she never, I don't want to say snitch, like, she didn't do no talking. And I wonder, because she actually made it through.
Think she gonna make it to jail?
That's what I was about to say.
She could have been in PC or something like that or wherever, but you think she gonna make it in jail?
Just as a woman, I don't see how you allow yourself to be a cohort and be participatory in other young girls being taken advantage of. It makes me feel like, did this happen to her and she developed that what do you call it when, like,
Stockholm syndrome?
Yeah, you like sympathize your kidnapper or abuse. Not saying Jeffrey Epstein kidnapped her, but like this was a lifestyle, or she's just so overtaken by the wealth and the luxurious life she was living. But how did your morality just not say, nah, this ain't right?
Or she could have been sick, a psycho person. Like, those people are born too. She didn't have to have that happen to her. She didn't have to fall in love with the lifestyle. She could have just been sick, bringing 14 and 15-year-olds in there to be raped by a 55, 60-year-old man. And you're the go-to person. You're a grown woman. Yeah. How don't you see yourself in these women?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
How did you participate in that?
Last gram. So this has been going around too. We're probably going to spend a couple minutes on this. Guy comes over with McDonald's for his kid to his baby mom house. And she put him on blast because he didn't bring no food to the other kids in the house. And I guess the way her video was aired, it made it seem like he had to. And she was looking like a nut, not feeding her own kids or not getting on the other dads about bringing them food. But I saw it a couple different ways. How did you see it? Or do you know what I'm talking about?
Yep, I know what you're talking about.
So I saw it a couple different ways, but how did you see it?
So initially I saw it and it was like, One, I mean, okay, you kind of have to imagine a situation. So I don't know how old the kid was, but obviously he had to be old enough to communicate with the dad.
And like Happy Meals.
Right, because I mean, like, how do you know to just bring it if it's like a 2 year old, like they didn't call you and say, "Can I have a Happy Meal?"
And he said I bought what he liked.
Right,
Like that's
so
what the dad said in the video. He was like, I got him what he eat.
right, so I got, and then he's bringing it to her house, which and I think I saw somewhere else where somebody said like he had did this repeatedly, like brought
Yeah, he
him.
only brings his kid stuff.
Right, so I mean, it's one of them situations
I'm
where
not gonna say stuff. I think just the food thing.
right, I mean, it could be one of them situations where maybe there was some tumultuous situation between her and the guy. I don't think he's obligated to do anything, but I do feel like if you know that this woman other or not even this woman, your child has other siblings who are there, then either one, you say, I'm gonna come pick him up, take him to get some lunch or whatever, or if I am coming to bring food, here's some food for everybody. Now it could, that could also be a thing, which it shouldn't be. If he had a tumultuous relationship with the woman, he might feel like, I ain't doing nothing for her kids, like I'm taking care of my child and it is what it is, which isn't the mature way to handle the situation. But that could possibly be the thought. I mean, in my mind, I don't think he's obligated to do anything. Would it have been the nice thing to do? Yes. Was he wrong for only bringing his child something? No, but I mean, it would have been the kind, considerate thing to do to bring, the other children something, or to, if you're taking your child for a treat, which also can be considered, a little iffy too, because you have kids who are sometimes cruel if the other children's fathers aren't in their lives, like, oh, my daddy come to get me, y'all don't have no dad. Kids can say mean stuff like that, or my daddy took me to McDonald's, and the other kids might be looking like, damn, we eating hot dogs and baked beans every night, or something to that effect. So I think the kind-hearted thing, the loving thing to do, because you love your child, hopefully you have love for the siblings, even if you hate the mother from your soul. The nice thing to do would have been to, bring something for all of them.
Yeah, we talking about McDonald's here. So if you wanted to only buy for your kid, that's your prerogative. I don't think he's obligated to buy for all the kids, but I do think like a real man, and I'm gonna say that and stand on that. Like if you know your kid is there and that your kid has other siblings, then you would buy a little bit of extra food for them. Like I know I would, and if I had a baby mom who had other kids and I'm bringing my kids something, I know how kids are and I know how that can reflect on them just the siblings. So I'm gonna bring a couple extra hamburgers and French fries just for the kids. I'm not
I think
gonna
McDonald's
do that.
got $1.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna do that all the time. There will be some times where I just come get my kid and pick them up and take them out for lunch. But if I'm coming there just to bring them some food, you got to realize how that looks for you and how that looks for your son. To be sitting there eating his McDonald's and his brothers and sisters looking like, like he not inclusive. So it's a catch-22, but he's not obligated. But I think anybody, I mean, with $20 in their pocket can go and buy 3 kids McDonald's.
Yeah.
So
is that, I was just about to say, how many siblings were there?
it was a couple kids. I mean, I heard like 3-4 kids screaming, but I mean, it wasn't like she had 12 kids. It wasn't a party in there. It was just, and the way she was putting them on blast, it was like, again, you got to realize he's not obligated, and you got to realize who you lay down with. Maybe he ain't the type of person to do that. He the type of person to say, look, this is my kid. I'm taking care of my kid. You ain't going to say shit to me about what I do for my kid. And that's cool if that's your type of bond. But it seemed like it blew up because, my other kids is here. And
I mean, when I saw it, like, I only watched it once, and then I think she did like a follow-up video. I scroll a lot of times and I don't listen.
What if that was
stuff.
you though? Like if you put yourself in those shoes and you had 3 kids or 4 kids and your baby daddy was bringing over food for his one son and you knew that Soon as your kid come in here with this food, your kid's gonna cry because they ain't got it, and mommy you to death, and it's gonna be a fucking issue when he leave. Like, it's just like, damn, what the fuck?
One, it would never make it to social media.
Obviously.
Like that whole, people wanting to, whatever.
But what would you say to him?
But in that scenario, I would hope that we could have a conversation, because she knew he was coming, because she was like recording out the window waiting. Maybe call him, hey, you stopping at McDonald's, do you mind picking them up something? I'll give you the money when you get here, or I'll cash up you the money. Can you get something for them too, so they all can have something? That would be my conversation with him. Like, or if you're coming to get him, for lunch or whatever today, okay, fine. But I would hope that regardless of how tumultuous your relationship may be, that would be a conversation you could have. Because maybe McDonald's is cheap, but maybe I don't know if he brings the kid lunch. And I'm not going to
play the game. Like, if your relationship is tumultuous, that might be something in your favor. You might get in her good gracious by doing that. $20, like, you not showing up being ignorant. Y'all having arguments, but you came over still and said, you know what? My son here, his brothers and sisters here goes some food, here go lunch for him for the day. That shit might work in your favor, so that y'all relationship ain't tumultuous. Like, think about it on a bunch of levels other than just the individual aspect of it. That's mine, and I'm his dad, and I'm only going to take care of him. Like, he got brothers and sisters. No, they not yours, but your son has brothers and sisters. Yeah. Like, if they was over your house, never mind, because they would be over his house.
Right. But, it is one of them situations where I think the mature thing to do would be to make sure. Now, and then that situation gets sticky, too, because you feel like, what if the other children, let's think outside the box of just McDonald's, right? Not to, like, belabor the conversation, but, you bring your child, some summertime, school's over, they need some sneakers, some clothes or whatever, and let's say the other parents either aren't in their life, maybe deceased, absent, whatever, may just not be financially able, or just may not want to take care for those children.
If I had a great relationship with my baby mom, I would extend my hand if I had it. I wouldn't, like, outright buy her kids whatever they needed. But if I seen her kid didn't have shit and school was coming up and needed an outfit or a pair of sneakers, then I probably would.
I think I would allow you to, depending on the relationship with the baby mom.
Yeah, I probably would.
Depending on the kind of woman that she is.
Oh, obviously, if we're in a relationship,
I don't know if I would be letting you take care of somebody else's kids, but it would be a conversation to be had.
It would obviously be a conversation. I wouldn't just do it. I'm not saying that. Yeah. I was meaning out of context. No, I but understand. Obviously, yes, but it's just the right thing to do. Like, I want those blessings. It's the right thing to fucking do. Like,
McDonald's is one.
Yeah, like, but I'm talking about, okay, she got 2 kids. I'm going over there and fitting my kid out with, sneakers, boots, sandals, everything he need for school. And her kid got, the other kid got shit, crying, and like, hey, go pair of sneakers. Like, smile. Like, you a kid. Like, you know how that shit feel as a kid.
You would say, hey, go sneakers.
Yeah, like, if you a kid and that shit happens to you, you know how that shit feel. Like, it's not cool.
Did that make you emotional?
A little bit.
I'm sorry about that.
A little bit. So, yeah, it's the kids.
That's a very touchy conversation for me, not just in the sense of McDonald's, because, I have nieces and nephews that have different parents, and I'm grateful that, they all feel in oh my God, babe, that really made you emotional.
Because it's the kids. Like, how could you treat kids like that? Like, that's just not cool.
Yeah. I am extremely grateful that despite, the co-parenting relationship that my sister, has had with their fathers, that they all know and feel that they are loved regardless of the situation. And I know that's not the nature and of all households, but I do know, and I, even in the sense of, like, I don't want to put people business out there, but I know people that I love who have men who have been fathers to other children who may not biologically be theirs, but they stepped right on up and they play that role. I'm just gonna say it. Shout out to you, Daryl, because you played the part. You are the dad. So
yeah, if
I'm
you
just
do
gonna
something
say
in a
that.
kid's life like that, and they never would probably like that shit might mean the world to them. You never know what stage of life they in or what they're feeling. So yeah, like if it ain't gonna hurt you, do something nice for a stranger. So
Well, they're not strangers, but I got you.
well, her kids is like, you don't know them little bastards. But do something nice for a stranger. Act to the Podcast, Daughter Rap, episode 77. Act2thepodcast.com.
Act2thepodcast.com.
Facebook.
Facebook.
Instagram.
Wait, Facebook, so cara is face, book is libre. So
Cara face.
Cara libre.
Cara libre.
I think that's how you say Facebook, yeah.
Instagramo. YouTube.
YouTubio.
Google. Podcast. Anchor. Radio Public.
Radio Publico.
TikTok. Breaker. Spotify. Twitter.
Tweet.
Act 2 the Podcast, episode 77. Appreciate y'all. If you fuck with us, you fuck with us. If you don't, you should. Peace. Damn.